All right, guys. Once again, we're back. Here's 3CM here. Mike and Pete and I are here, and this time we got Ryan Brown, who has been killing it lately with the covers. Um,
Hello.
he's joining us from across the ocean, so it's gonna be fun. We had the matchup time zones and everything like that, but super excited to have him. Took a little bit to figure
No.
out over the holidays to finally get him to sign up. Ryan, you sure shared your first cover. I do have to say, my first cover experience with you was this book here. I loved it from the second I saw it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
it's
the
so
Kindred
good.
one,
Yeah.
The Kindred, the Amazing Spider-Man 24.
So
Yep.
I love that, and the fact that it was a connecting cover with this.
Yeah,
Um,
that was a store exclusive for Comics Elite. It sort of connects, but it slightly vaguely connects. If you put them both together, you
I
can
wish I
see
could.
that.
I
Like
can't do it
I
these
know you
images, but yeah.
can, you can put like his hood is starting to rip, and Spider-Man's fingers are coming through his hood, the side of the hood, and you can see all the insects are starting to pile in. Like come up to Spider-Man's eye, and it's cracked on, like the insects, like whatever you call those feet are sort of getting in there and stuff. It's one of those kind of, I don't know, insect horror type things. I looked at a lot
anything
of
close to the eye.
yeah. I looked at a lot of those insects, those centipedes and things, and tried to get the kind of color schemes, and that's sort of translucent look, where you can see through. It's like its legs and stuff, and you can see that the bones in the legs are slightly flexible. It's kind of that kind of horrible insecty thing. And all the other ones all floating about the place. It's sort of, I like to make a little story with stuff. It's so you look around the thing and see more each time. You look at it or whatever.
I mean, like you have Spider-Man dangling from his eye here, and what I do love, like this Kindred came out issue 1, but
Yeah.
this is only the second cover as an exclusive. There was a one issue 22 had a cover with this Kindred character,
Yeah.
and then you took it to the next level. Like this is the image where I'm like, Kindred scares the hell out of me. Now the final issue, they just recently sort of revealed who he was. I'm like, oh, it's not as exciting as what you made him out to be here. How did you still come up with that look, or not the look, because the look was created before, but to make him as evil looking as you went?
Well, it's kind of, you've got almost all the elements there, in the design. So I basically looked at that and sort of thought to myself, well, you're going to have to, it's insects, it's kind of, like a body underneath a lot of wrappings. So you have to have all those wrappings really old and kind of grimy looking, If the insects have been all climbing over everything, it's all kind of grimy, and there's like browns and stuff in there, and you can see all those kind of, all that wrapping around them. It's all kind of just
texture's
horrible.
great.
It's dirty looking.
Yeah.
So what you do is you have the teeth all like yellowed, and you can see on the front where his teeth, the enamel has worn off the front of his teeth, and you can see in, the next layer of tooth. It's kind of, it's all, every element you have to put in there is like, has to tell that story that this character is really grimy and kind of, disturbing. And you can see the hollows here where it's basically almost wrapped around a skull instead of like a, like a fully formed face sort of thing, and we had sort of arguments about whether we could get away with, like, on a Spider-Man cover having Spider-Man so small, because there's a lot of rules and things, you kind of have to sort of, take into consideration when you're doing a cover with a character like that. And if you're doing like Spider-Man being such a big character, and making him such a little tiny figure, but I thought it was important, you have to show kind of terror and this thing that where the Kindred, character is the most important here. And Spider-Man is like a little pitiful insect, he's not important. But you see that kind of like the flash of the Spidey sense sort of things happening there as well. And it almost looks like an eyeball, so his face or his head looks like his eye,
Yeah.
So how big was this originally, like as a piece? So was this a painted piece, a digital piece?
Oh, it was painted. It was, you don't really have A3 sizes and stuff, like A4 and A3 over in the US now. It's kind of
So wait,
what
is
is it?
A3
11
is like
by
It's
17.
longer, right? Longer
Yeah.
and thinner.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like do you know, like an A4 page? You know,
Mhm.
A4 size. It's like two of those put together. You know,
Okay.
that sort of size. I work that size because it's faster. You can get the right amount of detail into it. Any bigger, and you're putting an awful lot of paint on, and you know you can render easier when things are larger. But you know, I kind of find that size works best. If you work on like a cover that's almost comic book size, you know, you just can't get all those details. When you shrink that image down, you know, there's so much detail in it. You know, it kind of it translates. It's very hard to paint somebody like Spider-Man that size, actually
Yeah.
the size of a comic. You know, it's hard. Like so, yeah. Most of my covers and things would be painted that size. So.
Okay.
Oh,
So we got to go to your first cover. Well, and just so everyone knows, let me get rid of this one. This is not Ryan Brown that we're talking to. This is a different Ryan Brown. This is not the one. Ryan Brown, this is a different one. We're not talking to this Ryan Brown.
I talked about
This is the Ryan Brown we're talking to. So notice the difference. You can tell Ryan Brown's style from the get-go. From his, is this your first cover?
Yeah, that's actually the very first cover. I think there's probably a date on it somewhere. I think it's probably about 6 years ago. IDW asked me I was doing a bit of coloring at the time, and they said, "Would you want to do like a cover or whatever?" And I thought, yeah. And they gave me a run of covers for the V Wars. At that point, I wasn't really drawn or painting anything at all. Like I used to draw when I was a kid and stuff, but whenever I went to art college, basically that sort of put me off drawing and painting, and you know, I didn't do anything for years, except for a bit of color and stuff. And at that point, I couldn't say no to the fact that, like, you know, they had offered me covers to do, so I said yes, even though I didn't know, you know, whether I could do them or not. This was digitally painted, you know. I had to, like, I got my wife to like take photographs of me, you know, in these poses and stuff, you know.
Oh,
and,
wow! Now that I wondered,
Really?
well, now I definitely see it.
yeah, so it's like me.
So now I need a signed version of this cover because you're the model
hard.
and you're the artist. I mean, you can't go wrong there.
I'm trying to turn my head the same angle. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you did, like, you said you did several of these covers for V Wars. Which did you then go? Then it became a TV show. Did you go, hey, I helped to come up with that idea for that guy?
Well, I don't think they used anything with my designs and stuff on it, but you know, I was just happy to do the covers at the time. You know, it was terrifying and, you know, enjoyable sort of at the same time. You know, I'm one of those people that kind of I want everything to be right, you know, and I hate to produce a piece of art and have it out there and people look at it and it's sort of not my full amount of, you know, energy put into it and effort. You know, if I do something
But how
that's
do you meet that in deadlines? You can't be a perfectionist and meet deadlines. I mean, I haven't met artists who can be both.
Well, I sort of, I limit myself to the amount of covers I would take on. At the minute, I only really take on one cover a week, you know, so, you know, so 4 covers a month. And I kind of find that's best for me. Other people can take on a lot more, you know. I've also this opinion where you can kind of saturate the market with your artwork, you know, and kind of turn people off a bit, you know.
Yeah.
So
We've seen that a lot lately.
Yeah. There's some people that can throw covers out, like, I don't know, 3 a week, 2 a week or whatever. And it's not for me, you know. I want to produce art. I want to produce something that has, in my opinion, has a bit of something substance to it or whatever. And, has a bit of a story and a bit of a feeling to it as well, you know.
Yeah, that extra effort shows, and limiting yourself, it definitely comes through.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's good.
That's good. I mean, just talking about those Kindred, the ones that we looked at, like the amount of detail you put into the small things. I mean, you can tell versus a quickly slapped together one that other artists have done, or when we're about to look at several different ones of your covers. No two really. I mean, you have a style, but no two really look alike. which I love. When I look at, but so like early on, you said you were in IDW. You did do Turtles, just not the turtle we looked
just not the other one.
Slightly different.
That's right. Yep. Well, I did. I don't know, maybe 6 covers or something like that for IDW. I did one with Kevin Eastman. Well, no, 2 with Kevin Eastman. And one was drawn by Kevin Eastman, inked by Simon Bisley, and then I digitally painted over it.
Nice.
And the other ones were all mine, I think. So yeah, it was good fun. You know, I've got this thing where it's like, you know, supermarket sweep. You know, I kind of want to go in and get this character and draw him, and then go over to this one and draw that character, and you know, I want to draw Spider-Man, I want to draw Superman, I want to draw Batman, and Mars Attacks, and you know,
you don't want to get labeled as just the Spider-Man guy, or just you'd rather have them all.
Yeah, I think I would get bored. You know, I think if I was drawing the same character over and over and over again, I would get really bored. And I kind of like moving from thing to thing. It keeps it fresh, you know. And the thing about it, the good thing about working with, like, at the moment, Marvel and DC, it's, you know, they have so many characters, and I don't mind doing some of the obscure ones as well. You know, it's kind of fun going and taking one of those sort of obscure old characters and kind of trying to make them look believable, sort of, you know. And
well, with your multi-texture sort of style too, it allows you to experiment with some new styles on a new character. So, like, for instance, this character, right, with fur, essentially, you could do something on this character that you couldn't do on Spider-Man, who's supposed to be sleek and, you know, smooth kind of thing.
Totally. So, and the thing about this is, you know, there's a balance between photorealistic and believability. You know, if I in my opinion, if you go too much like our photorealistic, it can become boring. You know, if you're taking like a photograph of somebody and just recreating that photograph, you know, it switches people off. My idea is believability is what you're trying to get to. You know, that kind of where something looks like it is there. It could almost look like a model of something, you know, and you know, so with that, when you look at that, it's like, it's just lines and scratches and stuff. When you zoom into the face and stuff, it's really, there's not a lot of detail there, but it's all this implied detail, you know. So the light is hitting in a certain manner, and it gives this sort of impression that there is a lot of detail there, but there really isn't, you know. And that's kind of the way I want to do things. I don't want things to be too polished looking, or else, you know, it's that mess kind of adds, you know, it makes a person's eye move around the image. You know, it's important.
Well, like, that thinks back to when the early LCD and plasma screens came out. People were turned off because it was too real. Like, people didn't want to see the acne on the actor's face that they were trying to cover up the makeup. Like, I think back to my parents getting one, and it drove me nuts. It was too much on certain stations. You go to PBS and it was like, what the? No, stop. Give me back that shininess.
Yeah. You love that blurriness, don't you? You want that kind of feel and the sort of slowness and blurry. It's it's a cinematic look or something, isn't it? It all blends, it blurs together. And I find that whenever my stuff is put into print, it actually it looks better, I think. You know, in my opinion, it looks better because it sort of all unifies slightly. It kind of, that print blur, you know, adds something to it. You know, it's interesting to see, you know. So that's Morbius. I did a couple of Morbius covers. I was supposed to do the whole run, but I had so much work on at the time, I actually couldn't do the last ones, which was unfortunate. But
what was your first, like, the Spider-Man one was an exclusive. It was a store exclusive. When was your first cover that you did that was a Marvel request? Was that the werewolf one that I just showed, or was there one before that?
There was I think I did Doctor Doom. Do you know, one of those immortal?
Ooh. Oh, you did one of the immortal,
immortal variant or something.
Yes, I do.
Oh yeah, that's great.
I did a Doctor Doom one. I did an Earth X Doctor Doom for Marvel. I did so many. I don't know. I mean, the first year I worked for Marvel, I did something like 45 covers or something. You know, And there was a good few of them that were direct. I think that was for Marvel as well. That was maybe my first one.
The Carnageized ones. So this might have been one of their probably your first ones. And what I love about the Morbius, that was when you first got a cover that was the cover A. Most of them were these cover. Okay, we're doing Carnage, or we're doing Immortalized, or we're doing whatever eyed ones they were doing at the time. And you got one of them from a character. So I remember seeing them and going, "That's awesome," but it's I mean, we're speculators. We like to think, so it's a little bit different for us because we're like, okay, is this cover? I love this cover. I bought it because I like it, and then I bought it because it's going to be worth something later on. There's two different things. But this is one that actually people liked for both reasons because it was a popular cover because some of these were just terrible, but people did like it. It's Black Panther. It's kind of so I did like this. Here's another exclusive that I loved. Everyone loved the homage that you did.
Oh, this one, that was another
the Lethal
Comics
Protectors,
Elite, I think.
Absolute Carnage.
I do a lot of work with Comics Elite. A lot of variants and stuff, Marvel and DC, basically. But I work with Sean, and sometimes we sort of bounce around ideas or whatever. Yeah, this was one of his ideas. He said, can we do like a homage to, I think it was a Punisher cover, wasn't it?
It was, yes. It was like Punisher 6 or 7. It's
War Journal.
Like one of the few covers that people
that's what it was.
really like from that series.
Yeah. So
the lighting is incredible.
Yeah, it's sort of simple, It's like, I mean, when you're doing a lot of those kind of Venom-y kind of things, it's all veins, but it's all about how you kind of do those veins. You could just draw lines, but how you have reflections hitting when you zoom in on that face, you can see little reflections and little touches of white. It's very simple, actually. It's kind of, it seems more complicated than you would imagine, but it's not. It's very simple when you
says the master artist. Says the master artist to all the dudes who talk about comic books. It's really simple. You just get your paint out and you just paint it. What's wrong with that?
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is, I find painting a lot easier than line art. I'm not a line artist, so my sketches aren't as good as my paintings. So
I'm sure they're terrible.
Yes. I kind of
just send those all. Just send those all to me. Send those all to Nashville.
Right, okay, all right. So it's Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So
they're just garbage.
They're all just piled up here, in the back. But yeah, I mean, I always admire like people that line artists and stuff. I think it's always like the type of art you don't do. You always admire that. And, people always say, oh, they do line art, but they always wanted to do painting and stuff.
Yeah.
But my career started with color, so I just plop color straight down, and, sometimes people go for like black and white to start off with and then kind of, add color afterwards. But I just go wallop and shove it straight down to begin, because I think it's a major part of the image, it's, getting those contrasts of like warms and cools and stuff, it's very important.
It's looking at this and looking at this, like when you talk, now that you say color, it makes me go, okay, I can see how you didn't, the blacks and the whites were maybe not the last things, but the later things you added to. Okay, I think red, I can see you working from not a blob, but working the outline first and then just keep adding until you build out.
That's it.
And I love this cover too.
It's about whenever you have to add a bit of, when you're working with paper or a screen or anything, you're working on a two-dimensional, sort of medium, so you have to break that barrier of 2 dimensions and kind of make something believable that is 3 dimensions. And one of the ways you do is layering. So, foreground, middle ground, background. So her hand, in her hand, being on that door, pushing that door, forwards, it's like that's in front of, her shoulder. So it shows that it's in front, and you use these layering sort of techniques to kind of make something, you look at more 3-dimensional, and also give it a bit of depth to it, But if you notice, the angles of the door don't line up with the angle of the wall at the back, the kind of doorway. And I do all this on purpose because I want to make things look wonky and, kind of make people look at things a second time,
Yeah.
And when things are too symmetrical or when things are too straight and too, organized, then it switches, people off.
Yeah.
If you look
the brain
at it
fills
as
it in, they don't look at what you did. They see
yeah.
what they assume it should be.
Yes. And you want people to look or to go back to that image and keep looking at it and see more things each time and all that sort of stuff. So you can see the top of her head, the light is hitting here, but it's black at the back because the top of the doorway is actually casting a shadow on her head. So it's telling you that there's something above her head, And the other thing is that kind of downlighting, hitting her nose and, casting shadows, real deep shadows and stuff. Again, it's a very simple kind of trick to make you believe that person is three-dimensional.
Yeah.
It gives drama, And when you've got something, oh, sorry, yeah.
Oh no, do you work thinking through where the trade dress is going to be? Because like this is the Virgin cover.
Yep.
Like, do you have to? So we've seen art where it's been amazing and then been ugly. The second trade dress has been dropped on it.
Yeah,
like
of course, yeah.
Big title, like right on the top of her head, so you don't see that shadow.
This is deceased, one of the deceased issues, if I recall. So
that's exactly it. Yeah. I do. I would have I would do a lot of my roughs on Photoshop, so I can kind of put a lot of color into it and things, and I would have like a trade dress sort of laid out on the top, really just a big block, a square or a rectangle in the top, and I know none of the major information has to go in there, but it depends whether, I mean, sometimes they do trade dress and sometimes they do a variant or a Virgin variant, as well with that same image, and I'll not worry an awful lot because the trade dress kind of, when you get the Virgin, you're kind of getting the full image in a sense.
So that way, in order, so people get the exclusive Virgin because that's the one I actually drew this for. I didn't, because the only place on here is in the corner, down in the bottom left corner is where okay, because DC does that for their B covers. They only have that small little trade dress in the corner.
Yeah. What I like
although
about
sometimes
DC is their print's good, their print quality is good, and they do that like card stock, covers and stuff, which is really nice. Most of the stuff,
especially for a painter.
Oh yeah,
a lot of your detail comes out much nicer on that glossy finish.
Oh, it does, yeah. I mean, there's nothing worse than getting a really bad print job, on your covers. Yeah. You've spent a lot of time putting a lot of detail in it, and it just doesn't come out, or it comes out really dark. Because a lot of the times I want to put dark colors into things and stuff, and if it just bleaches out where all the details gone, then it's a waste of time, really, isn't it? But yeah, DC.
I think that happens with artists that work really big too, when their work gets shrunken down to the appropriate size. It loses all kinds of detail, and it just doesn't work.
You have to know how much detail is going to disappear. You have to know also that if I go in and start detailing, like really fine detail in certain parts of her costume or whatever, that you're just not going to see it. And you have to say to yourself, right, I'm in a race against time here. Where do I put the detail? Where do you put that effort? I have to fire all that effort into a certain spot and then spread out from that point. It's like you see a lot of details in certain spots there, and then the background's very simple. It's like, and you also want to contrast little textures in the background that are not in the figure in the front. It helps tell a story. The background, like there's nothing there. Other artists, like line artists and stuff, would draw figures and draw buildings in the background and blah blah and whatever, but what I'm trying to do is put a focus on those characters, so that in reality, when you would look at that individual, your focus is totally on them, and all the other background stuff is slightly blurred, and it doesn't really matter, to the story, sort of thing. So that's sort of the thinking behind it. If the more detail you have in the background, she will blur into it. She'll disappear into it, and I don't really want that to happen,
Okay, I just noticed looking at this cover in more detail. You have a freaking. Is that she just beat the hell out of Wonder Woman?
Yeah.
I mean, I've never noticed that before because Cheetah's a phenomenal. But dang, the detail you put into her. Like I'm gonna have to zoom in on this and just look at like, wow, you drew. I mean, painted Wonder Woman there. I'm like, damn. I want to see the rest of her head.
She's lifted her like that, and she's down like this sort of thing. And I also did a cover for the Hulk, the Immortal Hulk, and the Abomination was
Oh yeah,
beating the crap out of the Hulk, and he was like lying on the ground, and I had him smashing the Abomination was smashing the Hulk's head off the ground, and in my original design, the Hulk's head was not there; it was literally smashed into the concrete, But they said, "Look, can we show his face a bit here?" And I was, because I thought that was more dramatic, his like arms and legs and everything up, but his head was literally smashed, yeah. So I had to change it. There's his face now, you can sort of see his face, but. The other thing as well is I made the Abomination's fist, the right fist, gigantic.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's again telling this story, isn't it? It's like he's just pounding him into the ground, All the bits of concrete are flying into the air. The back, you can see everything's exploding into the air where he's been smashed into the ground, it's...
Those are the kinds of things that make comics fun, too. Like a lot of that, like you said, the photorealism takes a lot of the fun and some of the imagination out of comics.
Yeah.
And you're right, it gets a little boring. Whereas his fist isn't that big, but his fist is that big. Like, yeah. So like metaphorically speaking, his fist is that big. Yeah. I love it.
So it's believable, you know what I mean? You can sort of look at that and you say, okay, I could make a statue out of that, or you can, not too much sort of a squint, and you would say they actually live in the real world in a sense, but they also have a connection to comics where the anatomy is a bit crazy, and it's just not. It is fun, that is what it is. That's the Hulk, and the Abomination is a mess. He's like something crazy, and why should he be all symmetrical? One arm's the same size as the other arm. He's just a mess. So you can draw him whatever way you want, really, in a sense, can't you?
Well, you got Hulk's legs back there; they're blurred out. That you're like, oh, that purple and green splash in the back. That's Hulk's legs back there.
That's right. Yeah.
How big is the Hulk? The Abomination is destroying. Like, until you told me about blurring out stuff, I'm like, oh, that's not just background colors thrown back there. You actually do have a purpose behind that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the more you look around, you see the little bits and pieces. And the Hulk's foot, you can't really see it because it's behind, the word, the Hulk. But I mean, it's all about telling it a little story, isn't it? It's a bit of fun. I love drawing stuff like that, the Hulk and Wolverine and all that. I mean, there's so much. Like, how could you not enjoy drawing Marvel and DC characters? Just so many brilliant characters
but
there.
Now I got to ask you though, because you're from across the ocean, did you get excited about doing Judge Dredd?
Oh, Judge Dredd, yeah. He was another character I wanted to draw, and I actually did I think I did 8 samples of cover samples before they would actually give me a cover, and it was it's almost deflating sometimes. You kind of do one cover and you send it to them and go, really nice cover. And then nothing happens, and then you do another one. It's like, oh, that's nice as well, and it's only a couple of words, very nice. And you kind of think to yourself, oh my God, am I ever going to get it? Get any jobs?
Tell me what I want.
I just worked on this thing for 3 months. What do you mean, very nice?
Yeah, but that's the way it is. That is what this kind of this industry and the career you've chosen, it's kind of the joy is almost in creating the stuff yourself, and if you can make a career out of it, then you're fine. It's I just get lost in creating the art a lot of the time, and it doesn't. The deadlines are stressful, and also I would say that producing every single cover is stressful as well. It's very hard. I don't think there's ever been a cover I've said, oh, that was easy to do. It is almost like a little piece of your soul is put into every single cover, and you're stressed out. But it's like if you run a marathon, it's painful, isn't it? And bodybuilding is painful, and exercise is painful, and anything that's worthwhile, there's a bit of pain involved a lot of the time. So I'm not one of those people that produces art and says, well, that was very simple, now let's relax and have a cocktail or something. It's like usually afterwards, it's like the sweat's like pouring down my head. It's like,
yeah, because for that cover, that's it. This is all that
disaster.
matters.
Yeah, of course, because
one.
people are going to judge you on it. You know what I mean? It's like they don't see how much you were paid. They don't see how long it took you. They're just going to say, was that a good cover or was it not? They're going to go, well, that's not as good as his other ones, and you don't really want that. That's...
So you said that like you had to send in 6 different designs and something for like these Judge Dreads maybe. Have you gotten to the point now where you can go to Marvel says, hey, we want a Gwenman Carnage cover, and you go here and you say, here's my idea, and they go, yes. Like, have you gotten to the point where they now trust your instincts?
Yes. It depends on the editors you're working with. If you've got a bit of a relationship with an editor, then they know, with the back and forward emails, they know, what you're going to produce. They know that you're safe. You're not going to produce something really crazy, or that's not suitable for a kid's sort of comic or whatever. And
not suitable for kids. I'm not sure about this cover here being suitable for kids. Or this one here. I'm picturing my child screaming at night because of your version of the Batman.
Yeah. Wait, aren't those the same character? Oh,
no. Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah.
Or is that the mouth of Sauron?
Oh, yeah. Well, could be. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I try my best to make covers quite creepy and scary. Because that's my thing. I love horror. I once was at a convention in the UK, and a small boy, maybe about 8 or 9 year old, came along to my table and was looking at all the prints that were sitting on the table and saw like some of the horror stuff. And he sort of looked at it, and his face started kind of going like this. And he started crying and ran. And I turned around to the person who was working with me, and I was like, yes.
Accomplished.
It's like I believe if you're producing horror stuff and you haven't made a small boy cry, then it's you're not doing the job. You know what I mean? But it's a bit. You know what it is? It's like a kid going on a roller coaster, or it's a kid watching a horror film or something like that. You know what I mean? It's no long-term damage, hopefully. And it's a bit fun, isn't it?
Don't you kind of want to have it to be a little like that one image
just
that sticks in their head until they're adult, like, I still don't like clowns or whatever because of that one image. Or
you have this image stick in your head.
I don't want to admit that, you know what I mean? But, because I don't want people suing me and stuff, So.
But you did do a sexy girl cover because that's what sells. Every collector goes crazy for sexy girl covers.
Yeah.
Which Black Cat is this? Is this the new run, or is this the one right before?
I think it's a new one. Yeah. I mean, I only did that maybe. Was it last year? At the end of last year, I think it was. Yeah. So I think
so. It was probably because issue 1 just came out of Black Cat. Maybe today.
Two drops today.
Yeah, so it came out a month ago.
So that probably is issue 1 then. Yep. Yeah. And that's my cat. That's my cat. On the bottom left there. My cat's called Simon. And I had to put, and she's a girl, and she's called Simon, which is even weirder. But I had to put her as a ginger, but I had to change her. Marvel said no, can't have a ginger cat. It has to be white or black. So, so I had to get my cat in there. So, but yeah.
Your cover so much more because your cat is in the picture.
My cat, no. You know, the thing about it, it's a challenge again, isn't it? It's like, can you draw a figure, a female figure where she looks kind of powerful, attractive, and and stuff like that, or can you draw horror where it's scary and stuff? Can you draw like a superhero who is very kind of heroic looking? It's like I've did like Gwen Stacy covers and stuff, and I've did like lots and lots of stuff. Basically, I've did GoBots covers for IDW, and Gears of War and absolutely everything. Mars Attacks, and so comedy stuff as well. I see them all as challenges. It's just what are you trying to put across? What are you trying to portray for that particular cover? And what I want is her looking kind of sexy but powerful as well, and it's all in the eyes and the expression and the pose, and very powerful pose, and kind of climbing out of this window sort of thing. Yeah, it's just techniques, again. All you do is you kind of tick boxes. You kind of say, right, well, dramatic light, interesting pose, asymmetry, as they say, like, art contrapasto, where you're kind of changing the angles of the hips and the shoulders. You're trying to make things so that they don't look like an action figure. So the figure's shoulders and hips are all straight on the thing. And you also try and break that wall of 2 dimensions as well. So things are subtly coming out at you.
At least she didn't try to turn her hips and her breasts so they could get the ass shot and the breast shot at the same time.
Yeah.
That was what the 90s were full of. Those girls that you could it was like you twisted the Barbie doll in half.
Yeah. It's very popular in sort of
Give me done
90s and stuff. But look, I mean, I don't knock anybody's stuff. It's people have certain ways of doing things and styles, and it's all art, and it's all as relative as anybody else's, and you can say mine is too over rendered, it's too polished, and there's like I can pick holes in mine, and people could pick holes in the anatomy of mine, because it's not perfect at all, and like I'm still learning totally. I've got so much to learn, and anybody that produces art, usually says the same thing. It's like it's a journey. It's rather than a destination. It is a journey that you never ever get to that point.
Well, millions of girls have played with Barbie for 70 years, and she would break in half if she were real. So
yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Speaking of Barbie, there's Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, Gwen Stacy.
Close enough.
Yeah, I like that over the shoulder. The angle pick for this.
Yeah, it's kind of.
And all the foreshortening on the cord too. That's hard. That's hard
I mean, it's trying to work all that stuff out is a nightmare. It's kind of.
Do you work on photos or models? Or?
I do some of it. I do, but not all of it. Certain things, because you want certain lighting to be right, because whenever lighting on a face is wrong, it's really wrong. And, you have. So I wouldn't copy reference photograph like to perfection, you know what I mean? I would kind of use it as a bit of inspiration for something, but sometimes you get things really wrong, and you don't realize you're getting it wrong, and it's only until you kind of leave it for a couple of days and come back to it and look at that image and you go, oh my God, how did I draw that? It's like one eye here somewhere and stuff, and it's you don't realize you've done it.
Why did I send that to my editor? No.
I know I have done that before, but editors sometimes pick you up on it, and they say, his arm is a bit strange, and it's like, and I kind of fight it, and I go, no, I don't believe that. I think it's totally fine and looks, and then I leave it right, and I love complaining as well. I love to complain, and I just hate people telling me that I've did something wrong, and then I look at it and go, yes, they're right, it is wrong,
and once you see that stuff, you can't unsee it either. Like there's one artist who draws every left eye too close to the nose and up higher. Maybe you know who I'm talking about. I don't know. but every single, especially on females, and it's every single time, and I can't not see it every time I see this artist
Don't
work.
tell me because I'm not sure.
Yeah, don't ruin him for whoever the artist is. Now I'm gonna go look through all of my covers because of that.
And then there's I mean, Neil Adams hates that Superman cover, the Breaking the Chains cover.
Oh, yes.
Because if you look at the leg that's forward, if that were in proportion, it would be like 3 times the size of his other leg.
God, yeah.
But again, it's like the fist. It's like the Abomination fist, right? I mean, it tells a story, but he can't stand it.
Of course,
he can't stand it.
Look,
it's hard.
Yeah, it's very hard to look at your own stuff. It's very hard. I mean, I said I've got this on my wall. You know what I mean? But it's like I can't use the phrase now. You know, I would never put any of my artwork on the wall. You know, it's right behind me. But this is only for podcasts. You know what I mean? It's like I would never put any.
Sure, this is actually the wrap around your bedroom. You sleep with staring at her
every
on the
room. Yeah. This is my bedspread. You know, I go to sleep and our towels, you know, in the bathroom and stuff.
Who is it? It's Natalie Sanders does that. She sells her art prints. You can have it on a big comforter. Like X23 is the one I've seen her sell. I'm like, what? You can get a print of on her bed sheet.
I love it. I would love a James Brown robe, you know, those robes. I can go to conventions with it over and stuff. You know? I could go in all tired, and then somebody could put the robe around me, you know, with all the comics, and then I'd go out, and then come back in again, you know, do another sketch.
Oh my gosh! Please go be in like Hall H and just walk up there with your robe and say, "I finally made it to the panel," and you stick off just every one of your covers.
Oh yes, I need to now. Somebody is actually going to make bedspreads of some of my horror stuff. Yeah, they're going to make quilts. Yeah, they're contacting me about making quilts, and I thought, like, you can't say no to that, can you? You know, you just can't say no. So they're making horror stuff of, you know, quilts with my horror art on it. So yeah, if you keep an eye on my Facebook, you'll see the results. I can't wait.
So switching gears slightly, because you changed your color palette for this cover. All of a sudden,
yeah.
What I mean, was this painful to use pink and purple?
No, pink is brilliant. Pink is a brilliant color, absolutely brilliant. It's so powerful, you know. And when you put it against like cool colors and stuff, it is like powerful. And look at the blue up in that dragon. Right, yeah. Look at some of that purple up there beside the blue, you know, and then you've got the pink beside that. It's like, look at those colors, how they pop out, you know. It's inspired by all the other kind of, you know, Gwen Stacy kind of, or Spider Gwen kind of covers. I remember seeing
Renzi, or is it who does the colors? Rico
Renzi.
Yeah, I think he does some coloring.
Yeah, you know, the colors fantastic, you know, absolutely lovely pink sort of colors and stuff in there, and you know, it's just so powerful. Pink, you know, pink's a brilliant color. Pink and blue, you put those in there, and what you're always doing is, like, if you look at a color palette or a color wheel, you go with the two colors opposite each other. You know, they're contrasting or complementary colors. And you've got that red or that sort of pink and that sort of blue are great together. You know, you can use a green with that, like a turquoisey green with that pink, and they're really powerful as well. But you know, certain colors really, really pop, you know, when you stick them together. You know, that was the plan with that one, like a dynamic pose in the center, and then you see his wing off to the bottom left. It's kind of It looks like it's closer to us, you know, and again, it's giving you that depth, you know, and again, her anatomy is just, that's not real, you know, it's just, it's impossible, you know, you can't, it's sort of, it's like, you know, you look at the original comic art and stuff, you know, look at the Kirby stuff, you know, the anatomy was not, you know, full realistic anatomy, but it was telling a story. You know, he would draw a fist and then put a body on the end of that fist, because you're drawing the most important thing first. You know what I mean? It's what you're trying to portray, that thing or that line of action. You know, the line of action. First draw that and then put everything onto that, and don't worry too much, you know, whether the anatomy's 100% or not. You know, I worked a lot with like Simon Bisley, and you probably know
I love
Simon
Biz.
Everybody, yeah. Like Bisley's stuff is just fantastic, you know. And the thing about it is, he always says, you know, it's about power. It's about the line of action. It's about the power of those lines, you know. And everything in that image telling the story, you know, nothing's in that image for the sake of being in that image. It's all pointing towards that story, you know. And that's how
because he does the same thing along those same lines, where exaggerating certain things to draw attention to them. I'm thinking of like a couple of Swamp Thing covers that he did. There's a couple of those heavy metal covers that he did.
I was like, Mike, you're just talking about the butt covers that he did.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course I am. I mean, that's one of my favorite covers of all time. I don't remember what heavy metal number something or other with Pete find it. But I mean, even like the veins and well, I guess it's the vines in the Swamp Thing stuff. It's so I mean, you could touch it. You feel like if you touch the cover, that texture's there, and that's important. I mean, it tells the character's story.
I've known Simon for years, and he is one of the best artists, you know. And his skill, he's so fast as well. Thank God, is like his sketching and stuff is just, it's superhuman. You know what I mean? He's just, it's scary. It's scary how good he is. You know, there are a few people that you can watch or you can see drawing and you say, oh my God, that's just, you just don't want to draw anymore. You know, it's just so good. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's scary. I looked at his stuff originally. You've probably seen Judgment in Gotham, you know, the Batman Judge Dredd comic.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw that, and I saw the painting and that, and I thought, what is this? You know, how did somebody do that? And I tried to pick it apart then over years, you know, and it's strange things like colors put on top of colors, like you can have like warm kind of browns, and then you put a blue on top of it, and some of that leaches through, and those colors right beside each other. It's like putting red beside green. You know, it dazzles your eye. And for years, I thought to myself, what color is that? How is he getting that color? It's just, you know, but it's the relationship of colors beside colors or on top of colors, you know, that tricks your eye. You know, it makes something absolutely magical. You know, and he's just gets this way of doing things. You know,
and that's something that when you paint it, you actually get that experience. Like if you just use marker or pen, it doesn't necessarily have the same feel, but because paints will blend together just slightly, and they will. You get these colors that until you've painted, until you've seen it and done it, you're like, oh, that was accomplished because of that. And some of it can't accomplish digital, even though some of the digital programs are becoming amazing.
But I still feel like you lose a little of that texture sometimes, though.
Do you
not feel that way?
My I would say you would be hard to tell me what ones are digital and what ones are painted. You know, I use the same sort of technique for both. You know, when I use Photoshop, I use the same thing. But some of these are digital, and some of them are physically painted with acrylic.
So it's play the game, just throw one up, digital.
It's about technique, you know. It's about technique. It's about, you know, people say digital has no soul to it, but I don't believe that. I think that it starts off from a clean slate. Our digital a lot of times looks very smooth, you know, and clean. Where painting starts off from a very messy sort of, and you're trying to get it clean, trying to get things rendered smooth. So it's harder to get that smooth finish with paint, but it's easier to get the smooth finish with digital, but it's harder to get the messy look with digital. And it's, you know what I mean? So they're slightly opposite of each other, but once you understand the principles behind them, you can do smooth or messy with both of them. And in reality, it's a balance of both that you're looking for. The right amount of the ingredients, because you're making like a soup or something, or you're making some like a pie or a dinner or something of some sort, and you need to put the right ingredients in that, and that that cover needs some of the lines need to be blurry, some of them need to be sharp, you need the right amount of light and the right amount of dark. You look at, remember, the way people say about the spark of life, the little dot that goes into the eye, the wee white dot. That only works because there's no other white dots in the thing. If your whole face was covered in white dots, then that spark wouldn't have the same effect. So a good way to do that, you can play these things. If you want, take images that people have done, put them onto Photoshop, and just take away little dots of light, just paint over it. And on Photoshop, it's a good experiment, to kind of say, look what happens when just one little dot of white disappears, or look when that highlight of white disappears off that armor or something. You take away that one thing, and that image becomes very boring. And it's down to just that pinch of salt. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's down to the wee pinch of something to add in. And that's what gold is again as well. Gold jewelry or whatever. It's that it's the accent.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there you go. The lasso, like that one, the way it stands out. Yeah. It's not noticeable at first, but it definitely. I mean, there's more to it than that. But like,
and the guy that bought that off me, he said, when he was asking me about he wanted a bath, he said, is that photoshopped? Is the lasso photoshopped thing? I said, no, it's all painted. But it's all about how you handle paint again, because paint will only, something like that will only go over white, so you have to have a pretty pure white background to put that paint over to get that almost luminous, like yellow color,
Wow.
And
did you tape that off while you painted everything else? Or did you do that?
No, you just be very careful. You just kind of just make sure it's, just be careful.
Is the zombified one also? Are they two separate?
Oh, that's the Photoshop one. That's the Photoshop version. Yeah.
Okay, so the original, the non-zombified is the original painting.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's the original one. Because then I just put it into Photoshop and change things.
Yeah. Makes sense.
It's quicker. It's quicker.
Yep.
But yes, they're tools. People say Photoshop, okay, you could take, like move an eye, which is true. You could move an eye, or you could move or whatever, or you could change everything into color. But the only difference is actually time. It's only a time saver, because if you can paint an eye in Photoshop, you can paint an eye in real life. The only problem is if you want to move it in real life, you're going to have to paint over it and then paint the thing. And if it's a light color, it's hard because you have to paint more white, and white doesn't go over stuff very well, and blah 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 blah. So it's all about time. It's all about time rather than anything else, But the disadvantage of Photoshop is you could probably go on forever and change and change and change and change, and you have to have an idea of a direction for an idea of where you're trying to go with that piece of art. What color do you want it to be? What way do you want it to look? What is the atmosphere? What texture do you want? Because you can work over all that stuff and work infinitely, work forever, and you keep changing and changing. When do you stop?
Well, and we've talked to artists before, and they do a sort of a mismatch of both. They sketch it real quick or not quick, however long it takes them. They sketch out their basic shapes and they send it to the editor and say, "Hey, here's my basic design." And the editor comes back and say, "Okay, no, the hand looks funny." And then once they got what they want, they print off the big, huge sheets, and then they paint and they illustrate, they color it in, and they do whatever. Because I think we were talking to Drew Moss, and he was like, "Yeah, I've gotten told to move an entire arm before because the arm didn't make sense where it was going to be." And he's like, my life was safe because of that, versus not literally life safe, but
Oh
or,
yeah.
So I can see. I like hearing. I have huge respect for the fact that you can accomplish the same thing painting, both vice versa, back and forth. Because I never thought about the fact how much of a pain it is to, as a Photoshop guy, to make it look just right, or make it look rough when it doesn't need to just to accomplish that goal.
The other thing is this again. Well, Photoshop, right? Okay, you could get a face and stick it in there, paint over the face, turn it into Wonder Woman, or you could stick a face in and blah blah. You know, you can do that, but it's not going to help you whenever you go to paint something. And you know, you make a lot more money selling the originals of your paintings than you do, you know, producing the artwork for the companies or whatever, right? So you're doing yourself out of a living in a sense.
$7,000 to $12,000.
Yeah,
quickly, depending on what cover it is and for what book.
Yeah, so you know what I mean. So it's a big disadvantage to just be working digitally, unless well, that's why a lot of digital people then they're firing out cover after cover after cover to make that money up. And I think then they do themselves a disservice in the sense because they produce too much work. People then they go, oh, another cover, and they also, you know, maybe the quality sort of disappears a wee bit. You know, it is very hard to keep quality up at a level, but you know, I torture myself and try, you know, keep everything as much as possible. Sometimes things slip and you just cannot, you know, help it. But I try most of my stuff. I try and keep it the same sort of standard. You know, I don't know whether it's going to be exactly the same in like 30 years or whatever if I'm still doing covers. But if I'm not living on a desert island, my own kind of you know, spaceship, you know, and a Mars holiday home or something in 30 years, then I'll be disgusted. You know. Yeah.
So, Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. But I got one quick question before we say our official goodbye. You got to tell me, first off, we're going to find out if you have something coming out that's awesome. But we've been talking to different artists. Do you have a character that, man, I would love not just to do a cover, but like have a story to go with the character? Like, are you that type of a guy who I have something cooking and this is what I would, if I ever got the chance to do Moon Knight or
Red Sonja?
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
I would like to do a Red Sonja cover at some point.
Yes.
I've been taking the Shaw and stuff. And
I'm dialing up Dynamite now. Come on.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was sitting, you know, the opportunities are sitting there, but I just haven't had time. There are certain characters that, you know, I want to get through. I want to do more Batman stuff. You know, want to do more Wolverine, Joker. I love the Joker stuff.
All that Joker cover. I got to grab that image. It's the one of the most disturbing Joker covers in a good way.
Is that the one with the body?
The smile. It's behind you, right behind your head.
Yeah.
Oh, that.
That's so freaking messed up.
It is.
I did. Awesome. I don't know whether you saw the other Joker one where I did with the Batman family all beside.
Oh yes,
and they're all dead. But what happened was it's a funeral parlor. This one has a whole story to it. And I remember I was telling like the editor and stuff. I was like telling this whole story, and it was like, yeah. You know, that's a bit dark, you know, because like we had like Robin was actually there and he's like a young boy and he's dead, you know, he's a dead young boy that had this like makeshift like Robin outfit has been painted onto him and he's like lying there like dead, you know. It's really creepy, you know, but I'm just amazed it got away with all this stuff, you know. You
got to keep doing it so you can keep making boys cry at conventions.
Yeah, no, that's it. But if you look, like I base all these, I look at a lot of mummified bodies, you know, and as people do.
Sorry, so you had to say that again. You look at what?
Lots of mummified bodies.
That is not recorded.
You can only edit that.
Bodies.
Oh, we're not editing that. Not for all $1 million.
Well, I can see it in that Kindred cover.
Yeah, that's it. I do it so that you don't have to, you know. So,
nice.
So you're the Leonardo da Vinci. You're digging up dead bodies, and you're
yeah. So I kind of look at them to get all the inspiration for those like covers and stuff. To make sure those dead bodies that the Joker has dug up actually look like real dead bodies,
Yeah.
And so I try and make them as creepy as possible, But yeah, I've got away with so much. I'm totally shocked. I'm totally shocked. I'm just so
we
happy.
should not be expecting like you to do Squirrel Girl or Moon Girl Dinosaur. Like you're going to stick to the sort of scarier side of the world.
No, sure, I did that Gwen Stacy cover. You know what I mean? I did the Gwen Stacy. Every once in a while, you need like a palate cleanser. You need to kind of. You've drawn so many dead bodies. You kind of need to drop Gwen Stacy again.
Palate cleanser.
Palate cleanser.
Bodies.
That's it. Yeah. You know what I mean? You really do. You need to kind of go, well, I'm going a bit dark here, I need to go do something nice and light and fluffy and stuff, It's like, Power Girls or
Marvel Actions IDW series. Go do some of those covers for them.
That's it. Yeah.
Marvel Action Avengers, and you go do some of those for teenagers years ago.
Depending on my kind of mood, it depends. I just I could sort of bounce to something else. It just depends. But I couldn't stick to it because I keep coming back to the dark stuff. I just can't help it.
The fact that DC came out with Death Metal and Deceased because it was like, here is my palette wheel for the next 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. Oh yeah, I love that. I love doing the kind of the Batman, with the armor and stuff. And even I just made my own armor and stuff up. I said, "Can I do anything?" And they said, "Yeah, go ahead." I made this like medieval Batman sort of thing with swords and warhammer and everything. And
I remember that. That was a gorgeous cover. Yeah, that was the hard thing digging through. Once we figured out that you didn't do the turtles, those turtles, it was the hard thing of going. There's so many great covers, but also it gets you do the same quality for the DCB covers as you did for your exclusive. So like, okay, which one's the exclusive? Which one's the B cover? I mean, which I loved. Like,
that's nice though.
Yeah, I have their Spider-Mans. I have those Lethal Protector covers. They're gorgeous.
In the end, it's a cover, and when it's out there, nobody cares. Whether it was a store variant or a retailer exclusive or it was a main cover or whatever. I'm going to do the same quality for all of it. I'm not going to half-ass anything. I want to do a good job with everything because it's to do with it's art, and I want to keep pressing ahead and kind of and producing something or the best I can produce. Now if I've spent a month on a piece of art, it would be a lot better than think. But with about a week that I have to work on a cover, some of that time I leave the cover to the side and then come back to it. And then I kind of correct certain things or add more details or whatever. It gives you a kind of fresh eye, kind of, to judge what you've done. But with a week, you can only produce a certain sort of level of something. But, I'm sort of happy with the amount of time I spend on it. I wouldn't really want to spend more, to be honest. But
you might overwork. You might overwork a piece if you did that.
Yeah. And you'll freak out as well because you'll look at it and go, that face is wrong, the jawbone's wrong, and the eyes a wee bit weird, or this is wrong, and it'll torture the life out of you, because you'll just look at it and say, this is totally wrong.
I need more mummy references.
I need to redraw this, and you don't know what's wrong with it because you just can't tell. It's bizarre.
You're too close to it.
Yeah, art's tough. Art is really tough. And, a lot of people say, oh, it must be great drawing for a living, all the time. But it is hard work. It's hard work, when you're working all day, all night on stuff, but the reward is you produce art that goes and lives on for a long time there, and people get a bit of something out of it,
Well, we appreciate the time that you take to do the pieces. I mean, they're beautiful. There's there's varying levels of art mastery in the hobby, and seeing a fully painted, beautifully rendered thing like you do is really awesome, and we really appreciate being able to buy those for $5 every couple of weeks.
Well, I've got so many covers lined up, and I've finished a good whack of covers this year as well that haven't come
Like?
out yet. And Joker.
Sweet.
Oh yeah, because that's coming out in a month, I think.
A Wolverine cover I've just finished. A Scream cover for Marvel. There's a team up cover or for like a UK team thing that I'm doing as well for a Marvel one.
The Union.
Yeah,
For the
and another Alien cover.
You're not perfect for the Alien covers at all. I mean, not at all.
Oh my god, that last one, so good.
Thank you. But and what else? Yeah, I'm working with Prime One Studio, producing a statue of one of the DC figures.
Cool.
Can't say what it is or anything, but
is that going to be your first statue, like of one of your pieces?
Yeah, it's
cool.
Gigantic as well. The statue.
Please do an unboxing on IG, your Instagram. Yeah. Please just do a little. I love watching the artist open the first time one of their toys because you guys get so excited.
I think it's pretty cool to see it. Yeah,
it's brilliant. Working with like the sculptors and stuff and all the rest, fantastic. And the Prime One Studio is one of the top. It's like hard to beat them. The quality's just insane, and I'm also working with Sideshow Collectibles, but I can't say much about that. So there's loads of stuff, in the works, and when conventions are back, I'll go over to the US again. So probably with Comics Elite and things like that. But
just make sure you bring your James Brown cloak when you.
Yes,
I'm gonna research that. I need a James Brown cloak.
This has been one of the deepest. This has been one of the deepest dives we've had into art technique, and I really enjoyed this today. Thank you very much for getting into all that stuff for us. Very cool, very fun.
Thank you.
Glad
guys.
you liked it.
So once again, guys, this was 3CM talking with our comics collectors chat. You can check out the article on comicbookinvest.com. You can check out the videos on my channel. You can check them out on Tales from the Flip Side. But make sure, guys, hit up comicbookinvest.com, CBSI, and just read about. We're gonna drop some more information about some of Ryan's stuff and put some links to his IG and all that type of stuff. Thanks, Ryan, once again. So
yes, no problem at all.
Thank you so much
for having me on.
Really appreciate your time.
It's good fun.
Thanks.